There's a restaurant in Huntington Beach, California that is very much anti-vax and apparently also anti-mask, because we are very lucky to have exclusive video of one of the waiters there pulling the mask off of the face of a diner. So we're gonna show you that video and then we get to actually speak with the man who filmed it. So first of all, here's that interaction.
How's business tonight? Busy, huh?
Yeah, it just started slowing down.
Has it been like next level busy since you guys took your stand?
So we had 4 to 5 hour lines, like until everything reopened up. But then since we got back on the news and everything, yeah, we've been having like hour, 2 hour waits, stuff like that. Just like just people.
Wow. It's nice to have a place that kind of puts their foot down for freedom and says, we don't care about this deadly virus. We're gonna put our foot down and just do it our way. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's all about freedom, right?
Absolutely it is. Have you guys had any backlash from people coming in?
Oh, you're talking about like the people that don't support us coming here? No, they just call over the phone. They never really show up.
Cowards.
Yeah, exactly. All we really get coming to the restaurant is supporters, and we get the cowards on the phone.
How are you guys enforcing the non-vaccinated? Like, how do you make sure? You say you have to prove you're not vaccinated. You just take people's word on it, though, right?
It's like, time to figure it out for yourself type of deal. Yeah.
Okay, so that is a great start. We're gonna have the mask coming up in a little bit. I love that Ben got him to talk about how it's all about freedom, except for, of course, you're not free to be vaccinated and apparently not to have a mask. But anyway, Ben, tell us a little bit about starting this off.
Yeah, so when I saw this restaurant take this absurd stance, not only against personally getting vaccinated or wearing masks, basic protection just to make sure if you so choose to not die, you have the right to not die, they are going far extreme past that and saying, we're gonna ensure that anyone that wants to associate with us or eat our tasty food has to have a good chance of dying, has to have a good chance of catching a very, very infectious disease in the midst of a global pandemic. We won't have it any other way. I mean, they're taking have it our way to a whole nother level. McDonald's move over, because they really are putting their muscle behind what their mouth is on that. And everyone I was talking to in this restaurant was a staunch anti-vaxxer, anti-masker. I started talking to people at the tables next to me before it escalates to a very crazy place you'll see in a moment. I'm talking to people at tables next to me. There's a woman with a toddler, not older than a 1-year-old baby, and she says he's never had any vaccine whatsoever. They lie to their teachers and say he's immunized and not, instead of saying he's vaccinated, and they don't even ask further than that. And I say, yeah, but this Delta variant is really scary though, isn't it? And she goes, the vaccine's causing the variant. The vaccine's causing the variant, and the masks are the biggest problem because you end up breathing your own disease back in and it re-enters. I mean, literally making nonsense out of her mouth at every turn. It was wild.
So I love this, basically reporting you that you're a comedian, but you went in there and did what nobody else does, partly because you had the courage to go in there without a mask, and I assume you're vaccinated, Ben, so good luck to you, and that's why you're not in the studio. Plus you got a show tonight, but
I COVID today, I'm clear. I waited 5 days and I'm clear.
Okay, good. But their attitude is amazing. I love that part where you're like you get freedom to basically die, right? And the guy's like, yeah. So, but I can't wait to get to the assault. So this is exclusive video. So let's show that, and then I want to come back and talk to you about the whole experience.
Thank you very much.
Get out of here.
What do you mean?
Get out of here. Take that off.
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm exposed to anything.
Hey, get out of here. Guys, you guys are all guns. You don't need to take. Get out of here. Take these off.
You can't pull the mask off.
Get out of here.
You didn't take my mask off my face?
Get out of here. Go. We told you to leave.
I've been vaccinated. I've been vaccinated.
Who cares? I don't care. Hey, what do you turn around and start walking?
I'm sorry I didn't put anybody at risk.
Get out of the truck.
I'll never do that again.
Never come back here again.
I'll never do it again. I don't want. I just wanted to protect them. I just wanted to protect them. I just wanted to protect them. I'm sorry I protected everybody. Next time I'll get COVID and I'll cough on people. It's fine. I'm happy to do it. That's fine. That's fine. Look, my bad. I just wanted to help out and not breathe on everybody, but like, to each their own, of course. You want to breathe on people with COVID stuff? That's fine. Thank you so much.
Right there.
What is?
You're a Nazi brown suit.
Because I don't want to infect people?
No, because
Beat
you're
it.
a moron.
Get out of here, buddy.
What do you mean?
Hey, turn around and leave.
Well, I'm not allowed
Don't talk to our customers.
Get it. You guys are very into making sure people have a good chance to get sick. I get that. I get it. To each their own. That's what America's about. Infecting fellow citizens because you don't want to wear a piece of cloth. I get that. I get it. It makes sense to me. Not follow the science, but just follow being a baby about a mask.
Nobody cares about what you're saying, man. Get out of here.
Look
Get
how
off the
riled up
property.
you are. You're very riled up. Just saying. Oh, it's pretty good Caesar salad, though. Thank you for that.
All right, Ben, I mean, that's one of the lines of the year. I'm sorry for protecting everyone. My bad. I love that you added, my bad. Okay, so I want to break this down in a couple of ways. But first, what do you think? I mean, they did assault you. That's definitely an assault. Are you thinking of filing charges or no?
I don't think I'm going to be filing charges, most likely, because I'm able to handle things and I'm not a baby. I can handle even cloth on my face. So being pushed out of a restaurant and having a mask ripped off, while my heart started beating quite fast and while very insane to have experienced, I'm not damaged as a person from that. Much like people wouldn't be damaged from, say, not breathing aerosols into vulnerable citizens that might live near them, that they might care about. So I think I'm probably gonna be all right. We don't need to make a federal case out of everything. These guys don't see it that way.
Yeah, no, certainly not. And it looked like there was a little bit of variation there because there's the waiter that you were talking to at first, and obviously you were pretending to be on his side. But he seemed like, I was worried he's gonna feel more betrayed, right? Because you're kind of messing with him. But it looked like the other waiter was more angry. So tell us what happened in that regard.
Well, I just think the first guy, to some degree, how do I say this politely, wasn't maybe as sharp as the other guy, and he didn't really know what was going on. He didn't know if I was still on his side or not. Like the very first clip, when I started to kind of subtly hint, and I was like, I get it, man. You know, you don't want people to protect themselves from this deadly disease. I understand. He's like, yeah. Is this guy on my side? So then I think it was the manager that came over, and there was 3 guys that ended up pushing me out the door, was just very angry. And it was also great too, it's also in the parking lot. There was the one guy that was very angry pushing me, and then the other guy comes out and he's like, relax. He tells the other guy to relax so he could keep berating me. It was wild. I never expected that they would get physical, that they would react. I mean, you see me just calmly putting on the mask privately for myself, and the concept of protecting yourself and others is just so foreign to people that have fallen so far down a rabbit hole where logic and common sense and basic care for humanity are concepts that are anathema to them. I mean, they literally lose their mind. I was talking to people at, like I said earlier, to the woman with the young child, and at one point she's saying these things that are completely ridiculous, made up conspiracy theories. So I say to her, and you have a science background, of course, and she goes, medical, actually. I go, oh really, medical? In what capacity? She goes, oh, I worked as a secretary in a medical secretary. I'm like, and I said to her, that's the same as being high up in the CDC, right? I mean, they have facts on their side and evidence, and you've got opinions, and they need to be respected equally. She goes, exactly. And I get to the next step, and I literally say this to her. You're gonna see the full clip on my show tonight. I say to her, all these people, right, that are complaining about people dying, they're like, oh, but my family members. And it's like, you've got other family members. I was sure that would be a step too far. She goes, exactly right. That's the thing, is you need, and the thing no one's talking about is a lot of these people that have died of COVID, they wish they could have died 6 months earlier, but seen their family. but have their family come to the hospital. I'm like, that's the point no one's made. You're making a brilliant point here, is that a lot of people want to die, and so we should enable them, speed that along for them.
Yeah, but no, to be fair, Ben, they don't just want to die. They want to die 6 months ago.
Yes.
So that's a twist. I never heard that before. I've seen a lot of dying people going, if only this had happened 6 months ago. Okay, I know it's serious, but it's ridiculous. By the way, the show that Ben's referring to is Your Late Night Show Tonight with Ben Glebe. It's on tonight, actually, 10 o'clock Eastern. Rosario Dawson is gonna be on it. He's gonna show you the full clip, so make sure you check that out. And the way you're gonna find it is nowherecomedyclub.com. Nowherecomedyclub.com. We'll put the link down below too.
Thank you. I hope people come, because during the pandemic, when all of comedy clubs shut down and live entertainment shut down for the whole planet, there was no way for myself and every comedian to make any income, and there was no live entertainment for people across the globe at the time they needed it most. They needed community, they needed laughter and catharsis. So I created the world's first virtual comedy club. We use Zoom as the platform, but we monitor it and produce these shows beautifully. And so I'm doing this talk show there tonight live. It's only available if you get a ticket to it. It's $15, very reasonable. And we have Rosario Dawson, Jodie Sweetin live in studio. We're talking about all this. We have a disaster movie spoof that kind of parodies these people to the next level. A lot of comedy that I think you'll really enjoy. So I really hope people come and get a ticket.
So Ben, as you were explaining how it broke down, you said the manager then came over and was more violent, and more aggressive. It sounds like they almost literally live in well, not literally, but in an upside down world. That'll be next.
It's called escalating techniques, Cenk.
It's called Orange County.
Yeah, the upside down in Orange County, where seriously, where the manager comes in and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, are you having an issue with my employee? Because I'm here to kick your ass more."
Would you like me to beat me with this pepper shaker? Say when. Wild.
So management was worse than employees. That's fascinating.
Yes, and I mean, it's just we're too far gone. We don't live in the same realities. I don't know how we come back from it. I don't know what the answer is to people that live in a complete alternate reality. This other woman I talked to at a table next to me, she says, "Oh, I love when they use the phrase the science. Like there's just one science." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, you don't think there's one science?" She goes, "There's all these fields within it. There's geology." I go, "You're right. That really proves science isn't really a thing. The fact that there's many sub-disciplines really makes your point well." And then she goes, "The science is evolving, and people say the science is settled. That's so ridiculous." And I go, "That really is a good point. Like when facts evolved to come out about how contagious something is and how you might die from it, then you take precautions to protect yourself." And I think her brain exploded at that point. There might have been an aneurysm. She couldn't process her own comments with her own thought that forcibly entered her head. They followed us out to the car. They were trying to walk down the streets, find us. It was very crazy. I'm glad I got out of there. And also, not just the assault of them pushing me, but when you rip off someone's mask who's doing it to protect themselves from a deadly disease, and then they grab you and put you in their face. He's blowing potentially deadly aerosols in my mouth, which I didn't even know that guy that well. You know what I mean? He hadn't taken me out. He did buy me that beer, I guess, because they didn't make us pay on the way out, as they threw me out the window, out the front door rather. But that's a bold move. Not only will you not wear a mask, I will rip yours off, and also open your mouth. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and it also shows that like they can talk about freedom or whatever. It has nothing to do with freedom. It has nothing to do with them not wanting to have to abide by things. They want to get in people's faces. They want to get involved in other. Like it is an identity. They projected so much over the past year that. And not just hard right wingers. There were some centrist, like news outlets that were talking about people who are obsessed with the pandemic, obsessed with lockdowns and all that. No, the people who have taken it up as an identity are those who won't do the bare minimum to protect themselves or others, and want to go and get in people's faces outside because they happen to be wearing masks. Like if somebody wants to be outside wearing a mask, I may not think that it's necessary, but it has nothing to do with me. But they want it to have to do with them. And I think
it's always about control with these people. It's the opposite of freedom. It's about them controlling you. It's about them controlling women's bodies. It's about them controlling elderly people's bodies now. It's about them deciding what their reality is and imposing it on others. It's the true opposite of freedom. They want to dictate how we all should live. It's the opposite. We only do that, rational-minded people do that when maybe your life's on the line. We try to have common sense guidelines that can protect. And they say, no, we're gonna have opposite sense guidelines that are meant to harm, that are here specifically to say, if you're not a tough cowboy that wants to risk death, stay away from me. But that's not what America is. They claim it's about freedom, and then they literally rip your mask off your face.
Yeah.
So Ben, I have one more question here, because I think that your video here shows one other thing. I mean, obviously it shows their irrationality, but as I think through all the different ways that they don't want people to protect themselves and are so aggressive about it. I mean, like, what's next? Are they gonna come into your car and rip your seatbelt off, right? Like, I don't want you to protect yourself. Get that seatbelt off of you. I want you flying through the windshield, okay? And here, I'm gonna step on the gas pedal. Like
airbags are for sissies.
Right, no, but by the way, I mean, it's next. But I noticed that they called you a Nazi there. Now, if I remember right from your previous appearances, etc., you're Jewish, right, Ben?
That is correct.
Right.
I'm one of the rare Jewish Nazis out there.
Okay, yeah. So look, but you didn't mention that when he said that, right? And so then I wondered, like, how were you worried about your safety there? Were you legitimately concerned about it? Because to me, the other thing that the video showed is, man, violence is right around the corner. Like, these guys are not just mad that we're not tolerant of their beliefs. They're mad that we're tolerant of our own beliefs, and that goes to the ripping off the mask and pushing out the door and then following you weirdly like psychos through the parking lot, etc. So were you worried about that at any point?
I was a little worried. I mean, I watching it back, I'm shocked that I didn't respond to the Nazi comment, considering that a large part of my family was murdered in the Holocaust. I feel like being called a Nazi is an affront to me in many ways, but I didn't say anything. I was just at that point more concerned about my safety and more concerned to make sure they weren't going to jump me in that parking lot. They wanted to. They were being very menacing. If they weren't on the clock or had to go back and tend the restaurant that they abandoned to come harass me outside, they probably would have done that. It was scary. My heartbeat was going a million miles a minute for a solid 30 minutes after that, until I could calm down. I had to go and get alcohol at a nearby AM/PM just to take the edge off. And then they only had tall boys. I didn't want to drink that much, so I had an ice cream instead. But it was intense.
Yeah, no, look, it's an interesting video in a funny kind of way, literally. It's an educational video, but I'm worried about the education we just got, which is that these folks they're looking for trouble, both medically and physically, and it's gonna be tough living with one another, where they're physically pushing us out of restaurants for trying to do the bare minimum and protecting ourselves, let alone them. So I'm afraid that your interaction there was a harbinger of things to come.
I know, it's a scary time. And also, I just said it at the end to be funny, but the Caesar salad was not very good.
That's actually a relief to hear. By the way, last note here. Tony Roman, who runs the restaurant, agreed to get interviewed by me, but he wouldn't come into the studio. And since he's not vaccinated and won't wear a mask, we're like, oh wow, how will we recover? In fact, they wouldn't have had him here. He asked me to go down to his restaurant. I guess I'm glad I didn't. I was like, it's not worth it. It's kind of a pain in the ass to drive down to Edwards County. But I guess I'm glad I didn't, because he might have had his thugs / waiters assault me if he didn't like some of the questions. So,
well, it just depends how much you like surviving, Cenk. If like surviving is optional to you, if life's kind of like a either or thing for you, like maybe it depends how I feel that day, they would welcome you with open arms in there.
Yeah, I see. Okay, well, isn't that fair?
Consider it.